I'm Danielle, your resident romantic.
And I'm Lindsay, the fantasy fan, and we are friends
till the book ends. So you are joining us for another book club book review. This one is my pick. I went ahead and chose Today, Tonight, Tomorrow by Rachel Lynn Solomon. Sorry for the glare. I do really like the cover. I don't want to bring it in for the camera though, because I think the glare will make it hideous. But the cover's really pretty. I kind of just chose this randomly. I was looking for books I wanted to do. I didn't want to choose one that was on my bookshelf that I was waiting to read. I wanted to choose one that I hadn't even heard of before, that was kind of new and exciting for both of us. So I chose this. Quick synopsis of it is you have Rowan and Neil. It is their last day of senior year, their last day of high school. And all 4 years of high school, they have been constantly competing against each other and trying to one-up each other. So when Neil won an essay writing contest in freshman year, Rowan had to go ahead and beat him by becoming freshman class rep. So they've constantly been having this hate-love, not quite friendship, but friendship. They tease each other a lot, just fun jabs. So since it is the last day of their senior year, their last competition is going to be who wins valedictorian. And when the results are revealed, it turns out that there's actually one more competition that they still have to go over. It is Howl. And I'm not sure what everyone calls it at their different schools. My school called it Assassin.
Yeah,
Lindsay?
that's what we called it.
Okay,
Senior Assassin.
Howl is 2 parts. The first part is a scavenger hunt, 15 clues for different locations around Seattle where the book is located. The second part is what we know as Assassins. Basically, it's a huge group of seniors who each have one individual target, and they have to kill the target, eventually ending in one final winner. The way it works is when you kill a target, you acquire their target. So if my target is Lindsay and her target is John, I kill her, I now have John as my target. And we say kill, every school does it differently. In the book, you have to steal their bandana off. In my school, I think you had to hit them with a water gun.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not really violent. It's just this fun kill or be killed thing. Rowan and Neil want to be able to be the winner, but they want to have to go head to head. So in order to become the final 2 in the competition, they have to team up. So they team up in this competition. It is over a 24-hour time period, which is one of the reasons I really picked this book, because I actually enjoy those. I think that is it for now. Lindsay, have I missed anything?
I don't think so. I think that sums it up.
Good. So that was a spoiler-free synopsis. However, keep in mind that our book club reviews do have spoilers involved. So, giant spoiler alert. Lindsay, what did you give this book?
So I ended up giving this book a 4.5 out of 5. This was my favorite book club pick that we have picked thus far.
Good. That's actually really good.
It is. What did you give it?
I gave it a 4 out of 5.
Okay.
So we're in the same realm.
Yeah.
A quick overview. Why did you give it a 4.5 out of 5?
I think this book surprised me because, as Danielle knows, I actually don't really like books set over 24-hour periods.
Yes.
Because I often find that they're really lacking in detail and there's no character development because it's 24 hours, so how much can a person change in 24 hours? But I thought this book, did it really well, and it was super cute, and it is enemies to lovers, which is my favorite trope, so that kind of just, bumped out any other tropes that I may not like. I thought it was just a really fun representation of, what 2 nerds in high school are up to, because, that was me. I'm tired of seeing books that are, kids in high school doing completely unrealistic things in high school that, I never would have been able to get away with. So, it's seeing this, I was, so reminiscent of my high school experience that I was I can relate to these people.
Yeah, and I remember, I'm glad that you liked the hate to love. I forgot that was an important trope in it when I was picking the book. I remember picking the book, realizing it was a 24-hour time frame. I immediately texted Lindsay going, here's the book, I don't think you're gonna like it. But I chose it anyway, because I do really enjoy these books, because I think, like you mentioned, if it's done so well that you can see the growth over 24 hours, it makes it such a beautiful book. I really enjoyed this book. There are only 2 reasons that I gave it a 4 out of 5, but there were some pretty big reasons. The first is that I personally felt the beginning was a little slow, basically the first chunk of the book before they actually start Howl. And then there is a part at the end, which we can discuss further when we talk about plot, that to me I just feel is a cliche in endings in books, so that really bummed me out, but overall I really loved it.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's start with characters. First, starting with the main 2, Rowan and Neil. What'd you feel about them?
I loved them so much because I just love the rivalry between them and how, Rowan was taking it, dead serious. She was like, I hate Neil. She was like, I hate his guts. but Neil, like, low-key really liked Rowan the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just kind of, like, funny to, like, see it happening, because it's, like, you can tell that, like, she's, like, dead serious, and she's, like, low-key really mean to him at some points. And you can tell that he just kind of is, like, teasing her back because he likes her. So I just thought that they had such a good dynamic together, and I really liked the different representations that both characters had. So, like, Neil, he is coming from a family where his father is in the picture, and both Neil and Rowan are Jewish, and they talk about their experience being one of, like, only, like, 4 Jewish people in their class, and some of the not so nice things that kids say or assume about them. So I thought that those conversations were really well done. I also really liked Rowan's family. Her parents are authors, and Rowan wants to be a romance book author, but she doesn't get that much support from her parents because they think it's kind of like a phase, and, like,
Right.
I get it. Like, you're embarrassed sometimes to be in public reading a romance with a half-naked Fabio on the cover, but, like, it's good times.
Oh, yeah.
We know it's good times.
It's worth it.
So, I just thought that their dynamics were really interesting, too.
Yeah, I could see that. For Rowan and Neil, throughout the book, they show little snippets, like, through previous years in high school.
Yeah, I did like that.
In all of the text conversations, you can tell Neil is, like, subtly trying to be nice to her.
Yeah.
Like, he gives her a heads up that there's a pop quiz coming, and her response is always very snarky. And so you can actually see the dynamic between her completely hating him and he kind of actually liking her.
Yeah.
Even if not,
He's
like...
trying to be nice in his own weird way.
Right, exactly. I also enjoyed the characters. I thought Rowan and Neil were built really well in that they are nerds, but they also are not your stereotypical dorky nerds. Like, I felt like these felt more like human, and I feel like sometimes authors write their nerdish characters to be like the scum of the earth.
Yeah.
Like some people see as stereotypical nerds. So that's why I really liked how she wrote the nerd aspect. I also enjoyed the fact that this touched on a lot of things without making it the topic of the book. So you have some queer romances in there. You have differing religious views and how people have stereotypes against those kind of things. So, side characters, how did we feel about Mara, Kirby, and the rest of the gang?
I liked them. I thought that they weren't that important to the story, other than the fact, and this is kind of delving into plot just like a wee bit, but I guess it has to relate with the characters,
Right.
but I thought that the book did a really good job at looking at what happens to friendships as you mature and as you get older and as circumstances change, because I had a really core group of friends in high school, and as we went to college, it's like things fall apart, you know? You're not as close as you once were because you're not in the same school, you're not seeing each other every day, and I felt like this really did a good job at talking and looking at, like, well, what is that friendship gonna evolve into, and also just, like, not making time for your friends and then feeling as if you're the one left out.
Right.
But in reality, it's like, you're the one who has been, like, alienating them, so they stop inviting you to things.
Right,
So,
exactly.
and we've all been there. So
Yeah.
it's kind of like, I really enjoyed that aspect of it, and it had to do with those two characters because those are Rowan's best friends. So I thought that was a really important thing to touch on because it happens to everybody.
Yeah, I think this is one of the few books where I felt almost all of the side characters were perfectly placed throughout the story, in each other's lives, so I thought that they actually built a really good dome around the main characters and, like, helped propel the story forward. I don't have much more to say about the side characters, but I think we have plenty to say about the plot.
Yeah, so let's move on.
Alright, so plot, you had just mentioned about how it's your senior year, you're going to be going on to college, friendship, and all that stuff. That is one of the reasons that I love books like this, because it is a 24-hour time period of the last day of senior year. And I am someone who likes to be nostalgic. I love my memories. I love thinking about senior year. It was such a wild ride. It was so fun.
It was.
And I love books like these because they take me back to that last day where it's like, I don't know, I don't want to say you feel invincible, but you kind of feel like you have the whole world at your feet and you can go anywhere.
And there's, like, that camaraderie between everybody.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And I thought the author wrote the characters' thoughts well. Like you said, some people can stay friends, some people go separate. I remember thinking in high school on my last day going, well, gosh, who knows where I'm going to go from here? Am I going to stay with my friends? Am I going to make new friends at college? I'm going off on a tangent. Please take over.
Okay. I loved the aspect of Howl, like the assassin game, because I played it and I got out, like, on the second day because someone got me coming out from work.
It's funny.
It's just fun.
Well, it's funny because I actually regret that. I did not play Assassins. But reading this book, it makes me want to kind of time warp back to senior year so I can play assassin.
Yeah.
I'm like such a competitive person where I feel like, oh, I would be Mara. Mara wasn't competitive as well, and she was like, can you give me some of the pictures you have? We can team up for a little bit.
Yeah.
I would have been like that.
It was just fun, and not to brag, but I guessed the mysterious Mr. Cooper thing immediately.
Really? How?
Because I'm a true crime aficionado! Oh, so one of the last clues that was, like, the most difficult, was to take a picture or to visit the mysterious Mr. Cooper.
Right.
And everybody's like, I don't know what that is, blah, blah, blah. And literally I was like, D.B. Cooper, duh. Because this dude in, like, the 1960s, I think, in Seattle.
Oh my gosh, you actually know the full story!
I do! He robbed a bank or something like that, and he got on an airplane with the money, and then it, like, flew over the forest, and he jumped out with the money and was never seen again, but nobody ever found the body, nobody ever found the money, and they were like, did he die? Did he live and go on and, like, spend all this money and stuff? And the guy's name was D.B. Cooper, and it was like, he was wearing sunglasses, like, we'll flash a picture of the sketch, but I immediately hit it, and I felt like such a boss. I was like, I knew what that was, and I was like, true crime for the win. But that's a whole other story. But I just thought it was so clever, all the little clues and stuff, and it was so fun. Like, I just had such a fun time reading it.
Yeah, I would agree. I thought some of the clues were a little too easy, but then also it made up because some of the clues were more difficult. I thought it was funny that somehow she always kept getting prime parking, but then also complained about not wanting to risk not getting prime parking, so I thought that was really funny. One thing for me, and this may be a spoiler alert, the thing that I didn't like at the ending was that you could feel it building. Rowan and Neil have a big blowout because both of them have feelings, both of them thinks the other have feelings, but they don't want to risk ruining whatever they're building up in this 24 hours, and they don't want to come forward and just say, I love you, I have a crush on you, can we do anything? So, as you've seen in books, instead of trying to open up, they kind of throw words and, like, bring up emotional trauma to push the other away. And A, maybe it's because I think it's cliche, or B, I actually just read a book before that had the exact same thing where instead of admitting their feelings for each other, they tried to push each other away. I think that's the problem I had with it. Where were you on that?
Yeah, I didn't love that scene. It's like the third act of the romance where things blow up and then they get back together, and some harsh words were kind of thrown around.
Right. I just felt like the dynamic of the plot, or like the idea of Howl, I felt could have created a different climax, could have created a different difficult issue to get through, instead of kind of what I feel is this cliche teeny bopper emotional feeling.
Yeah, it was a little cliche, but I guess like in a book like this, I was kind of like, I wasn't surprised.
Right, no, I wasn't surprised, that's for sure.
And so something that I wanted to touch on actually really fast was the fact that Rowan wants to be a romance author, and that's kind of like how her and Neil's rivalry started, because he only reads books where she calls, like, white men in peril.
Oh my god, I love that! I'm so glad you brought that up!
It was so funny, where he only reads, like, Dickens and, like, Huck Finn and stuff that's, like, only written by white dudes, and she doesn't really like those kinds of things, so their first kind of, like, interaction between each other that, like, cements the rivalry in place is where he wins an essay contest on The Great Gatsby, and she comes in second with a romance book, and he basically just, like, makes fun of her romance book, and she's like, you're dead to me forever, kind of thing, because she never feels like people take this romance thing seriously. And I just wanted to quickly read a small paragraph from the book, because it encompasses exactly, like, what I've thought about stuff. So,
You had it sticky noted.
I know.
How did you lose it?
Well, no, I was just trying to figure out where I wanted to start. Okay. So basically, the build-up is them talking about how things that women or teen girls like are always made fun of. And so, you know, Rowan goes, boy bands, fan fiction, soap operas, reality TV shows, most shows and movies with female main characters were still so rarely front and center, even rarer when you consider race and sexuality. And when we do get something that's just for us, we're made to feel bad for liking it. We can't win. And I think that's so true, because the things that people make fun of for teenagers or for women, you know, they're usually from, like, they're making fun of, like, teenage girls and stuff, but it's like, well, One Direction was damn popular for a reason. Like, I
still love One Direction.
Yeah, and it's just, like, that's the stuff that's, like, we need to move away from as a society. And I felt like the author really did a good job of, like, weaving that in, of being like, well, why is it only the things that girls like, guilty pleasures?
Right. I did enjoy how the author kind of created that strong stance of the female character throughout the book. I don't know about you, but I actually saw both of us in Rowan, in that Rowan is a huge hopeless romantic. Throughout the book, she's always like, well, if this were a romance book, right now, he'd be pressing me against the wall, and we'd be making eye contact. But then also, she's such a strong feminist, like you are. And so I felt like both of us were in that character.
It was a good mix of us.
Right, exactly. Like, if you were ever to take us off the channel and just make one host...
It would be Rowan.
Yeah, it would be Rowan.
It'd be Rowan. Well, next week when you see only one of us, it's because we've body morphed. So, quickly, I just wanted to touch upon one thing that kind of bothered me.
Yeah.
And it's the fact, I didn't give it a full 5 stars because things just got real cliche at the end. And the fact that they both said, I love you. And, like, Neil has clearly had feelings for Rowan for, like, years. But, like, Rowan, like, legit, like, hated him.
I know where you're going with this.
In a 24-hour period, they turn around and they have sex and they say, I love you. And it's just, like, they've always been in a relationship. And I'm like, that's one of the things that felt unrealistic in a 24-hour period for something like that to happen.
I would agree with that. I thought that too. I was thinking about that and I was like, I understand one of those by itself. So, okay, you have sex. Or, okay, you say I love you. But there's just too much turnaround in 24 hours to do all of that.
Yeah, so. I think it would have been more believable if, like, even if Neil said I love you and Rowan didn't say it back, being like, I really like you, would have been more realistic for this, because it's like, yeah, like, she realizes that, like, maybe she had, like, a mild obsession with him throughout high school, but, you know, I feel like it's so unrealistic for her to go in, like, 12 hours being like, I really actually hate you, to being like, I love you. So, that one just kind of bothered me a little bit.
Absolutely.
But overall, this was such a good pick. Yeah. I'm so happy that we read this, because this isn't a book that I had planned on reading.
I'm actually, like, oddly proud and excited that a book that I chose is something that you really love.
I know, I feel like every book that I've chosen I've been so underwhelmed with. Oh, yeah.
So this is definitely a huge win. I'm gonna put up a plaque in my room, because this was a huge...
Best book club so far.
Right, yeah.
I still haven't given it a 5 stars yet, a book club book, so...
But I think this comes pretty close.
This comes really close. So, like, this was something... I read it in, like, a 24-hour period.
Right.
I read the 24-hour book in a 24-hour period.
The beautiful thing about these is you can read it so rapidly.
It's so bingeable, and it's like... Oh, the Hate to Love was so cute, and I really do ship them, and I hope they stay together in college.
Alright, so now it's going to be a competition going forward to see what book we can choose that gets the full 5 out of 5. Because I've already given a 5.
Which one was your 5?
Don't put me on pressure like this. I don't remember.
Was it Kiss My Cupcake?
No, I don't think it was Kiss My Cupcake. It might have been Phoenix Unbound. I think I give Phoenix Unbound a 5 out of 5.
Oh, wow.
We'll figure and confirm that off channel. However, that is it for this one. Stay tuned for our next video, and we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.